Hello everyone, and welcome back to my channel, and welcome to my channel if you are brand new. My name is Danielle and I'm a full-time reseller on Poshmark, Mercari, and eBay. In today's video, I thought I would do something a little different and do a Q&A video for you guys. I asked you guys a little bit ago for questions on Instagram, and you guys came through with some really great questions. So I picked 10 questions out to answer here for you guys today. So let's go ahead and just jump in with question number 1, which is, how did you get started reselling? So I don't think it's a super long story. I'll try to keep my story short, okay? If you guys know me, you know I talk for a long time, but I'll try to keep my answers as short as possible. So, I got started reselling first in June of 2018, and I had graduated high school in 2017, and then a year later, I was dabbling into the idea of reselling. The first thing I actually did was I was looking for places to actually sell some stuff I had around the house. Me and my then boyfriend, he's not my fiance, but he was my boyfriend then, had just moved in together, probably not too soon before, and I just realized we had a lot of stuff, and so I wanted to sell some of it, but I didn't want to have to do OfferUp or any of those local things. So I was looking for places to sell stuff, and I came across Mercari, and I was just selling kind of stuff around the house, my stuff, my boyfriend's stuff, whatever. And I don't really know how I stumbled across a YouTube video for reselling, but I stumbled across, I don't even remember who it was anymore, but I stumbled across someone who was reselling, and I was like, wait, people buy stuff and resell it on these apps and make a living? And from then I was like, oh, I gotta try this. So I took my first thrift store trip in June of 2018, and I dragged my fiance along with me, and I did not do enough research, and I had no idea what I was doing. And that was the first time I kind of went and tried to buy stuff to resell. But basically the YouTube videos that I had watched, and one big person that comes to mind when I talk about who really got me into reselling is Empty Hanger. She was making YouTube videos a while ago now. I don't think she makes them anymore, but she was really a person who I watched all the time, and I learned most of what I know from her, and then I kind of taught myself the rest. I didn't really watch a ton of reseller YouTubers, but that's kind of how I got into reselling. And moving on to question number 2, it kind of goes along with question number 1 in a way, and it is, what did you do before reselling full time? So I told you guys I started reselling, dabbling into reselling in June of 2018. I actually didn't go full time into reselling until, I want to say, October of 2020. So I've only been a full-time reseller for about a year and a month, and that might surprise some of you because I feel like I talk about being a full-time reseller, but actually I haven't been one for that long. But before I was reselling full-time, I actually worked at Target. I started working at Target when I was 16 years old, and I actually worked there for 5 years before finally putting in my 2 weeks and leaving. And I actually didn't go to college, so college was not for me. I did not want to go to college. I had no interest in it whatsoever, so I didn't go to college. So I was basically just working a full-time job. Since I was 16, I've been working a full-time job, and I learned a ton working retail and working at Target, and I met a lot of great people. Actually, I met my fiance at Target, and I met my best friend at Target. So there's a lot of great memories there, but finally last year, in kind of the middle of the pandemic, I decided to leave my full-time job there and do reselling full-time. Obviously, I think that I could have gone a little bit better on that choice and kind of prepared myself a little more, but I kind of just jumped into it, and then right after I actually put in my 2 weeks at my job, I actually ended up getting COVID. So the stress level was very high at the beginning of being a full-time reseller because I was worried that I was going to have to go back to Target because I have COVID and I can't work and this and that, and it was a lot. So I was probably one of the only people in the middle of a pandemic who was quitting their job to start a full-time business instead of trying to find a job. So that is what I did before full-time reselling, and it was definitely one of the best decisions ever to leave that job and jump into full-time reselling because look at where I am now. Moving on to question number 3. Do you plan on reselling being your job forever? This is kind of a hard question because obviously I don't really know what my life's gonna look like in the future. I can't really predict any of that. I would like to be a reseller for as long as I possibly can. I don't know if I will be a reseller forever per se, but I do plan on having kids and being a stay-at-home mom while I run a reselling business, which obviously when I do that, I will kind of slow down the reselling business, but I don't think I'll ever like just stop on a whim. If something happens where I have to stop, then I would. But I definitely plan on reselling as long as I possibly can. Number 4 is, does reselling ever feel repetitive to you? And if so, what do you do to shake things up? Reselling is extremely, extremely repetitive. After doing it for as long as I've been doing it part-time and then full-time, it is extremely repetitive. You do the same things over and over and over again. There's not really any change to it. A couple things I like to do to kind of shake things up is I love to like rearrange my office space. You guys know the amount of times I've like rearranged my inventory and office and everything since I've started YouTube. It's actually crazy. So I love to kind of rearrange my space. That always makes it feel kind of new. I like to go to the thrift store if I'm feeling like kind of burnt out or anything. I actually just did a video on like how to increase your sales, and I added on like how to not feel super burnt out and unmotivated. I posted that I think like last Friday or something, so I'll like link it up at the top if you want to go check that out. I kind of talk about it a little more in there. I also would say to take breaks. Even if you feel like you've already taken a lot of breaks, take more breaks. If you're feeling like it's really repetitive, it's because it is. And if you're taking a break, or maybe just do something you really like to do, and that'll kind of shake things up for you. And I'm really bad a lot of the times at this. And when you're doing things that I'm doing, like dealing with flip clients, and you have to pay your bills. When this is a full-time job, it's not just like I'm making extra money. It's I have to pay my bills with this money. So it gets really stressful, repetitive, and all of that. But taking a break, rearranging something, going to the thrift store, all that can help you, and you just kind of have to push through. And moving on to number 5. Number 5 is, what's your favorite part about reselling? So obviously my favorite part is everyone's favorite part. That is going out to the thrift store and shopping for inventory. But I want to not have that be my favorite thing, because that's kind of lame, and like that's what everyone says. So I think my favorite part, besides the thrifting, about reselling is processing new items. I really, really enjoy processing new items and like doing my research and doing like looking up comps and all of that. I love doing that because it gives me a lot of like new information on brands I didn't know of. I love looking up comps. Like, I don't know why it's so fun to me, but I love processing new items, looking up comps, all that kind of stuff, like researching. That's my favorite thing. Number 6, I think I kind of answered at the beginning. I should have put this with the other 2 questions. It is, how long have you been reselling? So I started June of 2018 part-time. Part-time. Dabbled in it then, but that's when I started. So almost 3.5 years I've been reselling, and then about a year and a month for full-time reselling. So kind of answered that earlier, but I answered it again for you guys. Moving on to the next question, number 7. Do you get overwhelmed balancing being a pro seller and your regular inventory? And this person is referring to Flip. If you don't know what I'm talking about, Flip is an app that you can consign items. I have a whole video talking about Flip that I posted like months ago, that I will like link up here, and then I'll leave a link down below if you want to actually sign up. But this is a great question, and the answer to this question is yes. It does get very, very overwhelming and stressful to have a bunch of clients plus my stuff and have to keep up with everything. And when I first signed up for Flip, this was horrible. I definitely like messed up in the beginning and got way too many clients at once, and just it was overwhelming. Now I kind of have like my one main client that sends me a ton of things, and then I have like a few side clients, so it's not super overwhelming. Obviously there are times where it is still very overwhelming, but I try to kind of not get a ton of clients at a time. But it's really hard sometimes when you're scrolling through the Flip app and there are so many good lots and I just want all of them. So I've definitely gotten better with being pickier with the lots I take, which definitely helps with getting overwhelmed. And right now I'm actually at about 50-50 with Flip inventory versus my inventory that I get from like thrift stores, wholesale, whatever. And that's kind of what I want to stay at, 50% or under. And in like the season of life I'm in where I don't have a car and can't go to the thrift store super often, Flip is what is working for me the best. So that is why I have so much like Flip inventory and everything. And it's overwhelming sometimes, but I've gotten a lot better at balancing both and just sticking with just a few clients at a time, in addition to like my main client that sends me hundreds of items. Hopefully that all made sense and you kind of got a clear answer to that question. But moving on to number 8, if you could start over from the very beginning, what would you do differently? This is a hard question. I honestly don't even know my answer to this question. Okay, I think I have a couple different answers to this question. My first answer to this question is, if I were to go back, I think I would not buy so much fancy extra stuff that I didn't need so early on. Like a label printer. That's why I tell you guys all the time, don't buy a label printer if you're not making a lot of sales. I bought a label printer very early on and I did not need it. I regretted it. I would buy like just a bunch of stuff I didn't need when I should have been focusing on like, okay, get your sales up, get your pictures better, and then buy that stuff. So I wish I would have not bought like a label printer. I bought my iMac really early on. Shouldn't have done that. Like I had a laptop that was working just fine. So I should have definitely like not bought so many unneeded things at the beginning. But obviously I can't go back. But if I could, that's what I'd change. Another answer to this question is, I think I would go full-time earlier. Now the reason I say this is because I could have gone full-time earlier, 100%. Looking back at it, I could have, and what was holding me back was my full-time job, and losing that is what really pushed me in the right direction and pushed me where I wanted to be, and now I'm exactly where I want to be, and it's amazing, and I wish I would have done it sooner. But I mean, obviously I can't go back, but if I could, I would go full-time sooner and kind of jump all in 100% earlier. I'm also going to add one more thing to this question and talk about YouTube. I would start YouTube earlier. I don't think I've ever talked about this on my channel, but I had a YouTube channel when I was very, very new into reselling. I'd have to go look at the date. Let me go look at the date. Okay, I found a video I posted on August 14th of 2018 for a thrift store haul. And I started YouTube back in 2018 when I had just started reselling. Let me know if y'all want me to do like a reaction video to one of those. That's going to be so embarrassing, but I think it would be so hilarious. So if you guys want to see like a reaction to one of my really old channel videos, or if you want to see one that's like just like from earlier this year, let me know. I think that'd be funny. I saw someone do it. I don't remember their name, but I saw another reseller do it where they reacted to their like first video or something, and I thought it was so funny. It was amazing, and I totally want to do that. So if you guys want to watch, let me know. But I wish I would have started YouTube sooner, and all like this doesn't have anything to do with reselling. Well, it kind of does because all my content is reselling, but I wish I would have started YouTube earlier, because now that I've been posting consistently and being myself and just like having fun with it, I've grown so good, and I'm freaking loving YouTube, by the way. Like, it is amazing, and I love all of you who watch my videos, and I just wish I would have done it sooner so that I could have had this sooner. But obviously, like I said, can't go back, but I think I would like stick with it in 2018. But the videos are very, very cringy and terrible, and like, oh my god, things have changed. But Yeah, I think I would start YouTube earlier. Moving on to number 9, how do you store, label, and organize your flip lots? This is a great question. So basically what I do with my flip lots is I get them in the mail, and after I photograph and list them, they go in a specific box, whatever size box I need for that lot, and then I put a sticky note on the outside of the box that has the person's name that it's for. And that is kind of how I store my client stuff. Now, I do have a client that is my main client who sends me hundreds of items. Her stuff, actually you can see next to me, is right here. I have 6 bins right here that are all for her, and then I have the top of my things are lined. I'll like put in an overlay for you. But the top of my shelves are lined with more of her lots. So basically what I do is I label her boxes by either the lot number or they go in box 1 through 6. And on her specific spreadsheet that I have for her, each lot is labeled with a number. And then if the lot is not in a specific box for that specific lot, it is in a box 1 through 6, and it's labeled on the spreadsheet. So most of my stuff is in the boxes for her because that's where most of the stuff comes from. But the other half is in just like individual boxes for each client. Honestly, I think it's the best way to keep track of it all. And then also keeping a spreadsheet is also going to make it a lot easier. And I also like to keep a spreadsheet so I can keep track of like what I'm making for each client as well. So yeah, that's kind of how I store it and organize my lots. That's what I've been doing since I first got flip lots, and I've not had a problem. It's been working out really great. And the very last question at number 10 is, what's one thing that you learned that changed your entire reselling journey? That is a hard question to answer. I gotta think about that for a second. Okay, I think I have a couple answers. So the first big main answer to this question is I learned to stop comparing myself to other resellers. This was extremely hard for me to learn, and now that I've learned it, I could care less what anyone else is doing. I'm focused on my business and my business only. And after I stopped worrying about everyone else and what they're doing, I could pour even more time into my own business, which changed it substantially. And once you kind of stop worrying about everyone else and comparing yourself to them, you'll succeed because you don't care what anyone else is doing anymore. Number 2 is looking up comps and learning brands and trends. Obviously this is kind of like a mainstream answer, just because you really have to know brands, trends, you gotta know how to look up comps. But it was definitely something that changed my entire business, because when I first started, still to this day, I do not have a fashion sense whatsoever for myself, but I'm really good at picking out outfits for other people, shopping for good trends, all of that. I'm really good at it. But for myself, fashion is not my thing. I wear t-shirts and leggings every day. But I definitely had to learn how to look up comps, look up good trends, figure out brands, and that changed my entire business. Going from sourcing terrible brands to really good brands, you have a full 180, and it's all of a sudden just wow, I'm making a lot of sales just because I've amped up what I'm selling and my prices are actually the right prices. So that's definitely the 2 things that I learned that changed my entire journey. Alright guys, that was it for this little Q&A video. Hope you guys enjoyed watching. If you want me to do another one of these, definitely let me know down below and leave any questions you have for another one. I could definitely do this again because this was really fun, and I like kind of sharing a little bit more about myself with you guys so you guys can get to know me a little more. But I hope you guys enjoyed watching. If you did, please give this video a thumbs up and hit that subscribe button if you haven't already. And don't forget to hit that bell notification to be notified every time I post a new video. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you again next week.